Hi, thank you for coming back to Utah's Gentleman Farmer. It's springtime here in Utah, and I've just been trimming our apple trees, getting ready for the season. In today's episode, even though it's spring now while I'm announcing this or doing this discussion, back in the fall, that's when we do an awful lot of our work in harvesting, preserving, and working together. So in this episode, I want to accentuate or focus on a handful of things. First, that this is a multi-generational thing. As I discussed in an earlier episode, a long time ago, we worked together as families. Sometimes it was multi-generational. People would get together and do barn raisings. The children would have to work with their parents in the field. This was something that, even though the kids hated it, and it was very difficult, hard work, it built bonds within the family because they depended on each other for survival and for their own comfort. So this built some incredible relationships among family members. And so I'm happy to use this episode as a demonstration of the multi-generational nature of some of the things that help us to bond with each other and make us more healthy physically and mentally and emotionally. So, and how I demonstrate that in this, my grandmother has been canning purple grape juice, Concord grape juice, since she was little. She taught that to my father. He and my mother taught that to me. And in this episode, you'll notice that I'm working with my daughter and my granddaughter in picking and preserving these grapes. Plus, you're also going to get an opportunity to ensure the quality of food that you get. I guarantee you that the stuff that we're doing in this episode is going to be so much better than anything you can buy in the store. It's going to be healthier. It won't have any chemicals. It's not going to be GMO. And so this is one of those things that I love about what we do, is we can control the quality and the care of our own food. So, and I think all these things, again, lead to physical, emotional, and mental health. Thanks for coming back, and we will step into what we did last fall as a demonstration of these things. So Chelsea, show us how we do this.
I use scissors.
That's a good idea.
I use scissors and just chop off the entire, that's a small one, here we go.
Well, we see small ones.
Chop off the whole
That's a nice one.
cluster.
So we're picking green grapes, and so we'll just pull these off. Chelsea's smart. She uses scissors. I just wrestle with them.
Look at this mango.
Here you go. So there's some really pretty grapes.
Yes.
Those are really nice. Here, Grace. Thank you. You're welcome. And we have them all mixed together. We got
I don't like those.
concords. Oh, here's a nice big one. Whoa, we have a lot down here, don't we?
Yes, they like to grow underneath.
Go. Hey, Bedlam. Hey, Nina. Here we go, Grace. Pull hard. Here we go. So how we prepare the grapes, most of them are in clusters. We've tried to take them off in clusters as much as possible. They usually have a little bit of leaves or something. This has a little bit of a spider web in it. So So we're going to want to make sure we get all that out. We don't want that in our juice. Then we take it, just wash it off. Wash it off, make sure we're not getting any dirt in our juice. Put it up into the can or the basket. So that looks like a pretty clean one. We'll just rinse it off. That one's good too. Just fill these up. Little bits of leaves. Occasionally we find a spider in here. Want to make sure that doesn't end up in the juice. These are wonderful grapes. But you also notice I'm not taking the stems off. They will not ruin the flavor of the grapes. In fact, in the instructions it specifically states you don't stem them. Leave the stems on, make it as easy as possible for yourself. That's why we steam it. I really like the steamers because the way I was raised, my parents did it the way my grandmother did it, and she would pick every little grape off. Make sure there were no stems. And that just takes forever. But they did it slightly different. What they would do is they would put the grapes directly into a jar, and then they would cook it that way. But that sure makes it a lot of work. I introduced my dad to the steamer and how we did it, and you know, he was so fond of his mother, he couldn't change the way he did it because that's the way his mother did it. So I didn't argue with him. I thought that was a nice sentiment for my grandmother. Anyway, as soon as this is done, like I said, it takes about an hour to steam it. You don't start timing it until steam is coming out from the cooker. You start timing, and you'll do 60 minutes, and then turn it off and let it set for a while so that the grape juices can go down. It's a wonderful process, something I enjoy, mainly because of the quality that we get out of it. So this second batch, processed or steamed for an hour. Take the lid off. Be careful so you don't get burnt by the steam, because that is hot. As you can see, it's been, all of the cells of the grapes have burst and released their juices. So this was filled up almost to here, but now it's released all that juice. But to make sure we get as much as possible out, we'll go ahead and squish this down as much as possible without pushing some of the pulp through the holes. Now looking at this spatula, it's wood, and this is a good reminder for you that you don't want to use anything that you don't want stained, because this is a very potent stain. This juice will stain almost anything. Let's see if we can see. You can probably hear all the juices running down in there. There you go. So this is really good stuff. So once we've pushed that down as much as possible, we will then take this off and allow as much as possible to drain. Now I'm going to dump it into my bucket to go into the compost. Something I want you to see is here in this bucket where I dumped everything. If I had planned better, I would have put this in a clean container, and you can see in there that there's still some juice coming off. So plan better than I did so that you can get as much juice as possible, because a lot of that juice will settle in that pulp. Now this is the chamber that has the juice in it. It comes off of that basket. And so what we're going to do is make sure we get every last bit of juice. We're going to pull this forward, tilt it, and make sure we're getting every bit of juice out of it as it goes down into the pot here. And just so you can see, this very last chamber is where we put the water. That boils, creates the steam, comes up through here and bursts all the grapes. So I have here now this nice pot. I'm guessing that's about 1.5 gallons maybe of just this wonderful juice. What I'll do is I'm going to take this and put it in the refrigerator and leave it overnight, because that way there's a fair amount of sediment that can come out of the juice, and you don't want that in your jar. So what you do is you let it set overnight in the refrigerator, and that sediment will settle to the bottom. The sediment will tend to make your juice bitter if you don't get rid of it. So what we'll do, put it in the fridge, let it set overnight, and then tomorrow we'll pour off the juice, and there'll be just a thin layer of this purple sediment at the bottom. And we can leave that behind, and that way we'll have a little better flavor in our juice. Welcome back. Now we've processed the grape juice. I didn't show the processing of the green grapes because it's the exact same process. We process them separately so we can enjoy the separate flavors. From that processing, we get this amazing grape juice. It's the Concord grape juice. It's very sweet on its own. Once you have this, you will never go back to what you buy in the store. It's a very wonderful product. It has a really great, strong flavor. In fact, it might be a little strong for some people. So some people cut it with some water, or maybe some like 7-Up. Some people will put some water into it and then bring the sugar level back up by just adding a little bit of sugar. It's a wonderful product. And our tradition in our family is we don't open one of these until Thanksgiving dinner. And that's when we open our first jar for the year. Another product came from that Concord grape, and I got several of these. I think I got about a dozen of these. This is the grape jelly. Amazing stuff. This stuff goes really well on toast, on pancakes, on almost anything. I use it a lot with my peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, which I really like. It's wonderful, wonderful flavor out of this. A little strong for some people, but I like it just as strong as possible. I love that Concord grape taste. And now it's interesting because this is the juice that comes from the green grape. And I thought it would be fairly clear, but it comes out this nice rose colored juice. And so, and it's very strong. Sometimes it actually will be a little bitter, and so you have to add some water to it, and then if it's not sweet enough, you just put in a little sugar to raise the sweetness in it. But these are amazing products. It's not that hard to make them. It's not that hard to process the grapes. It consumes time because it takes a while in the juicing process. But the really nice thing about these is, number one, I have the satisfaction of knowing I made it. Number two, I have the satisfaction of knowing that I haven't put any chemicals into this. I don't fertilize, I don't spray pesticides, because we're dry enough here in Utah that we don't really get any pests that bother our grapes. Other fruits, it's a different situation. But the grapes just don't require pesticides. Non-GMO, no chemicals. This is as pure as as Mother Nature gets it. You can try different kinds of grapes. You can mix grapes and try different flavors, but this is a wonderful product. When you're done with it, you will enjoy every bit of it. Go out, get your hands dirty, enjoy making something together with your family, and create some traditions. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next episode.